Hello, friend. It's been a while since I've had a audio that wasn't attached to astrology, I think. What have I been doing? I've been doing a lot in the Courtney Kairos containers. I'll probably drop a link below. Right now I'm in X Factor, which is helping us get in touch with our X Factor, that unique signature, helping us tap into our own unique frequency. So you might want to check it out. But what I've been thinking about the last few days, just based on some conversations I've had with a client and then some friends as well, the feminine. A lot of folks have been talking about the rise of the feminine, but I recognize that many of us don't give ourselves permission to experience what I call the messy feminine. Because that's what feminine energy really is. And I think that's why it makes so many of us so uncomfortable, especially if you are in Western society or if you've been conditioned to think that the straight and narrow and pushing through is the way to go. It's how you accomplish things. It's how you make great milestones. And it's how many of us got a lot of great accomplishments. It's how we, made it through school or got the degree or got the job or, made the big career transition. Like there is a time and a place for that. Absolutely. But what's happened is that so many of us, we have pushed our masculine so hard that our masculine, it's not necessarily safe enough for us to experience our own inner feminine. So often we hear about this talked about, in particular in romantic dynamics, like having a safe masculine so that the feminine can be safe enough to trust the masculine. But what I'm learning, and I learned this in a lot of the work that Courtney Kairos does, is that we need our own inner masculine to feel safe. And that is when we're not trusting our feminine to express itself, to be untamed. And I think part of the problem too, especially if you've done a lot of personal development, therapy, self-help, spiritual work, you've done the workshops, you've been in and out of therapy, you've done different types of therapy. We've read the books, we've done the journaling. Some of us have even done some of the somatic practices, the rebirthing and the ecstatic dance and all that stuff is great. But what happens is like we get so addicted to healing that we're always looking for the next thing to fix, that we don't give ourselves permission to rest. Like sometimes the most important thing to do is to have time for the collapse. And I needed that. It wasn't until I really gave myself time and space to slow down and to be messy, untamed, and that doesn't mean that like you have to go out into the woods, or like the beach with like, a bunch of friends and howl at a full moon, around a fire pit. Although I lived in California for a few years and I will confess, I've done that thing a couple times and it's super fun. It's really fantastic. But you don't have to do that sort of thing. And I think too often, like people think that like that's what the wild, untamed feminine is that it's this wild thing where you have to do like those kind of hippy dippy practices. And but sometimes hippy dippy is what you need. It does unlock something in the body. But sometimes we just need to do a more mundane version of that, following our own schedule. If you have the luxury of not being on a fixed, tight schedule, or if you're in a transition and you have open time, not filling every moment, or even giving yourself permission to have like a day or a weekend with nothing planned, and then just see what your body wants you to do that day. Like I had to have time where I did that, where like I had nothing on my agenda And I mean nothing. Like, I didn't know if I was going to do laundry or go to the grocery store. I didn't know if I was just going to like call a friend and say, hey, let's meet for coffee. Like, I literally had nothing on my calendar for like even just one entire day. And if you're thinking about that and the idea of that, like nothing planned ahead of time, if that scares you, if it makes your heart race or your hands like sweat a little, ask yourself why. Like, why do we always have to have a plan, an agenda? Because sometimes the feminine, it needs to just be able to be in the moment. It needs to be able to say, hey, right now, I think I want to just go take a walk. Or maybe I just want to like hang out at the park. Or maybe I do want to like cook a big meal and just make do with what I got right now in the house. Like, just be creative with what I have on hand. Not go to the store, not order anything special. And like, just allow that creative energy to play. And if you're a parent and you're thinking, oh my God, I could never do an entire day. That's fine. You probably can, especially if you're a single parent. But maybe you could do 4 hours. Maybe you can have like someone like, babysit your kid, or maybe while they're at a play date with somebody else, you can have some unstructured time. Because sometimes that's what we need. And women in particular, I feel really need this, especially if you've been through something traumatic or a lot of trauma in the last couple of years. Like, there needs to be space for collapse, for the nervous system to unwind, to do the version of what animals do when they're traumatized. Like, you can actually physically shake, and that helps too. Like, just, right after something happens or you feel a feeling come up, like, just give your body permission to like just shake for like 20-30 seconds. But if you haven't done it when like it happened in the moment, or maybe you have a lot of like suppressed grief or rage, and of course, if you're in therapy, or I recommend, going to a therapist, a support group. If you're going through anything major, always get support. And sometimes part of the process can just be just going at a slower pace, like, so if you do have a business and, maybe you are a coach or a consultant and you're in a space where maybe you only have one client where you normally have 3, maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe the universe is saying you need more space to just like drift a little, throughout the week, or even if you have an office job, maybe there are times where you can just play hooky or take a sick day and then just see what you want to do. That's what I had to do when I had day jobs, but I was still like, my body was still processing a lot of emotional trauma, and I was doing therapy and going to the workshops. And sometimes as a result of processing those things, I had days where like I didn't have the mental focus to like do my actual freaking day job. And when that happened, I would just take a sick day and I would just like walk around, get out of my apartment and just walk down the block or go to the park, because I didn't want to stay in my place. And, I didn't want to wallow in bed because I was worried that would take me into like a really dark place. So it was good just to leave the house with like no agenda, like just, and at the time I lived in California, so I could just go to the beach. And I'm so glad I gave myself that space and permission to do that. Like, it was totally what my body and my soul needed. I needed to take a walk. I needed to be outside. I needed to feel the sun. And I needed to like feel the sand under my feet. I needed to walk along the edge of the water where the sand and the ocean meet. And it felt good. It helped me get back in my body. It helped me feel closer to God. And it helped me see like some of the connections I hadn't been making. It was in those times at the beach by myself in the middle of the day with all these people around me and kids playing and families and, people selling stuff on the boardwalk, that I could actually sometimes like hear my own inner voice or the voice of God, source, telling me, hey, here's what you need to grieve. Here's what it's okay to cry over. Here's what you need, or here's the next step. Here's the next modality to try out. But that's the messy feminine. It's unstructured, it's untamed, and it's not on a schedule. So maybe you just need to embrace your messy feminine and see where that leads you, see where it takes you. And even me doing this audio, like a part of me is like, oh, this is a really big deal. This is a really big topic. I should get myself all done up. I should like make sure my hair is looking good, and I should put on my makeup and a nice top and record, like be on screen. I just didn't have the energy for that today. And I'm not sure when I'm going to have the time or the space this week to do that. And I didn't want to like wait till I had the time. And so this is me embracing my messy feminine, just doing it now in a way that's comfortable and easy. And I'll probably do another video about this later on. This is a topic that I'll talk about more. I'm going to be changing the focus of my YouTube channel, getting further away from astrology and talking more about this stuff. I mean, I still use astrology as a touchstone because it was actually this Gemini new moon, and just the way the feminine energy around it was playing out has had me thinking about these things. But I want to talk about healing and spiritual growth in a broader manner, because I feel all of it serves, all of it helps. And I feel like this is how I can be of the most service to people. And I don't know if you can hear people yelling outside. I don't know if the teenagers in my neighborhood are watching a TV, a game or something, but not sure if you can hear them. But whatever it is, they seem to be very happy about it. It's all good. But I wanted to just at least invite you to explore your own messy feminine. Because that's the thing about feminine energy. The reason like a feminine energy needs a safe masculine container, it needs like the space to be like, wow, like the ocean. And I was thinking about this too this weekend. Like the ocean is wild and raging because it has the earth like as that masculine container. Like it's able to like flow and go all over the place, because there is some container to a certain extent. So I don't know if that makes sense. Let me know what you think. I'd love to have your questions or comments down below. And we'll have more conversations about this because I'm growing and exploring it. I'm playing around with how I sit with my own feminine and my own inner masculine as well. And just wanted to invite you to do that too. And mostly just wanted to come in and touch base, say hello. And as always remember to honor the light within you.